Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to another episode of Booking a Better Wrestler, the show where we take one wrestler each time and see if we could do a better job with them than WWE is currently doing. Now, last week, we cliffhangered the Titus O'Neil episode, saying that we would be taking a look at Darren Young this week, and we are going to be continuing kind of the same fantasy storyline arc that we had last episode. So if you haven't seen that one, be sure to check that out. There should be a link for that right in the annotations on the video, and that will show you how I booked Titus O'Neil. And at the end of that episode, Titus mentioned to Darren that it was his turn to go do what he'd always talked about doing, and that's where we're going to pick up. We're going to pick up right at the Monday Night Raw after Fastlane. Darren Young comes out, he congratulates Titus, he takes the microphone, and he says that Titus has inspired him. He says that the IC title has had a long history, has great champions such as Shawn Michaels, Steve Austin, The Rock, Mr. Perfect, etc., but the first IC champion was Pat Patterson in 1979. Darren Young mentions that Pat Patterson is gay, and he was gay in a time where being so could get you fired from your job, it could get you beaten up, it could get you worse. And then he follows this up by saying that some people may or may not know this, but Darren Young is gay as well. And he's seen Pat Patterson as an inspiration throughout his career. And with Titus winning the U.S. title, Darren wants to honor Pat Patterson and honor himself by becoming Intercontinental Champion. Darren Young is then interrupted by Kevin Owens, who comes out. Kevin compliments him on his speech, but he says that he doesn't care if he's gay, straight, bisexual, pansexual, anything else. If Darren thinks he's going to get the IC title before Kevin Owens gets it back, he's only one thing: delusional. Darren Young responds to this by challenging him to a match next week on Monday Night Raw. And on the SmackDowns leading up to WrestleMania, Darren Young is going to get a series of vignettes, interviews discussing his childhood, his career, what it's like to be gay and in pro wrestling, segments that are designed to let us get to know and become attached to him. It's easier to get behind a wrestler when you know the real person behind that character, and since Darren Young has not had a lot of storyline build-up for his character throughout his career, I think that we are better off just kind of getting to know him as a person rather than trying to create some sort of fantastic character for him. So the following week on Raw, Darren Young faces Kevin Owens and wins a hard-fought battle. Kevin Owens is going to be, at this point, in the midst of a feud with somebody leading up to WrestleMania. We'll say it's AJ Styles because that's what it looks like from the Royal Rumble, but it could be Sami Zayn. It could be somebody else, but we'll say it's AJ Styles, but you could really kind of switch anyone else out of his spot in this and just have that person show up during the match, not really interfere, but cause just enough of a distraction for Kevin Owens to lose focus and get pinned by Darren Young. Darren Young gets the win, and with that win is declared the number one contender for the IC title. As this happens, and as we continue to build towards WrestleMania, the promo packages continue. There's interviews with friends and family of Darren, talking about his wrestling career, interview with Titus O'Neil, of course, old Nexus members, things like that, people who have known Darren throughout his WWE career in the weeks leading up to WrestleMania. And while this is going on, the build-up in-ring is that Darren is getting solid wins over guys like Dolph Ziggler, The Miz, Tyler Breeze, people like that, people who are at that IC title level, people who are former champions, who are going to give Darren good matches and allow him to kind of establish himself as a singles wrestler. The week before WrestleMania, Ambrose runs into Darren Young in the back. He says that he respects him, but he's not going to give the title up just because he respects somebody. He tells Darren Young that he is going to have to expect the fight of his life at WrestleMania. Darren looks him in the eye, says he would expect no less from him, and then the two shake hands. We get to the match at WrestleMania, and the match is just a back-and-forth war of attrition. This isn't a match built on hatred or because one guy's a bad guy, the other guy's a good guy. There's no real face-heel dynamic. It's just an old-fashioned IC title match to see who's the better wrestler. They should give this thing at least 20 minutes, and we can have it end with Dirty Deeds getting reversed into the gut check. Darren gets a pin, 1, 2, 3, wins the IC title, celebrates in the ring with commentary mentioning that he's had to overcome adversity throughout his career, and he's finally come out on top and won a title for himself. Titus comes out, and the two can hug and do the millions of dollars dance in the ring. Darren Young with the IC title, Titus O'Neil with the US title. Darren Young gets to the back and is congratulated by Pat Patterson. He interviews Renee Young, mentioning that being the first openly gay man in 35 years to hold the belt is nice, but that's not what he wants to be known for. He wants to be known as the best IC champ of all time, and he'll defend his belt at every chance he gets to prove it. Now we have Titus O'Neil and Darren Young both being made into solid mid-card wrestlers, mid-card champions, adding depth to both of those divisions, the Intercontinental and the US divisions. They can still tag together if they want to bolster that division as well. The IC title division should be known for the talent of the wrestlers and the history that that belt represents, and Darren Young would be a good nod to both of those things. He's good in the ring, and then the storyline of being an openly gay man in wrestling, winning that title, would be a nice little throwback to Pat Patterson. Now, of course, this is all prefaced with the fact that Darren would have to be comfortable discussing his sexuality in a storyline. He may not be. They haven't really touched on it at all in the storyline in WWE, on WWE television, and if that's not something he wants to do, then you have to respect that. But I think that it would be a good way to set himself apart from other wrestlers. It can make him a role model to other people who are in a similar situation, people who are gay and want to get into wrestling, people who are gay and in wrestling but closeted. It could be a really good inspirational story. And then you have both Darren Young and Titus O'Neil. Titus O'Neil, of course, kind of known as the best dad alive or whatever, both being these very positive African-American role models, which is something that WWE has not traditionally had, and having both of your mid-card champions be African-American, one of them being gay, that lends more diversity to a company that one of the criticisms of it has been the fact that they're kind of whitewashed, and you need to be, a straight white male to make it to the top of the company, and that would kind of, kill some of that criticism, and I think that that's only a good thing. And also, adding depth to the mid-card divisions is only a good thing, because then you could take other mid-carders, guys like Dean Ambrose, guys like Kevin Owens, move them to the main event, and then everything kind of rotates. So that's how I would book Darren Young and then previously Titus O'Neil. Let me know what you think. Be sure to leave a comment in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, trying to get to 50 subscribers by the end of January. We also have a bunch of other shows that just came out. Be sure to check out my Royal Rumble recap thoughts if you want to see me get progressively angrier throughout the course of a show. We also debuted a new segment that we're calling Time Warp, in which we're taking a wrestler, pulling them out of the era that they were in and putting them in a different era. The first episode's looking at Ricky Steamboat and how he would do in the modern era and current day. So be sure to check that out, and always leave us your feedback. You can send us an email at changingthequestions@gmail.com. You can check us out on Twitter at changingtheqs, which is at changingtheqs. Also, be sure to like us on Facebook. Just search for Changing the Questions over there. And if you want to get podcast of the Changing the Questions episodes, which a little bit of a programming note for the podcast, we are just going to do episodes of Changing the Questions for that, because bandwidth-wise, it's just too much to put everything on our podcast stream. So we're going to do just Changing the Questions episodes for the podcasts, and then Booking a Better Wrestler, Time Warp, recaps, previews. Anything else we do is going to go on the YouTube page, so be sure to check that out. But if you are listening to us on iTunes, if you're listening to the Changing the Questions subscriptions, be sure to like us, give us a 5-star review, give us some nice comments over there. And I'm rambling on now with our traditional end of the show plugs, so I'm going to cut it out here. Thank you so much for listening. See you again soon. Bye-bye.